Okay, so we're here once again in Sword Factory X, and today I'm going to show you guys basically how to get the best possible damage sword for yourself. Now, there's a lot of components that do go into a damage sword, and the main ones really are the class, the rarity, the enchants, and the level. And realistically, what I would say is the level is actually probably the most important part of your damage sword, just because the level can impact everything so much. So as you can see right now here, I've more or less got one of the perfect damage swords in the game. Obviously there will be better damage swords than this. However, this just represents what you need on a damage sword. Now as you can see, it's got a very high level, it's got a high class, it's got a high rarity, it's got really high enchants. And obviously the better the enchants, and the better the class, and the better the rarity is obviously the better. But the main thing is the level. Now, there's multiple ways you can go around getting a high level sword. If you know any friends, or if you just know anyone who is a high level in this game, they can perhaps come into their little sell station over here, just pick up a random sword and give it to you. Like obviously depending on what level they are, they might have a level that's like level 300, 320, or in my case here we have a sword that's level 360. Now obviously the higher the level the better. But yeah, I would recommend definitely trying to get a high level sword, either off one of your friends, or if you are a high level yourself, try and get a high level sword. And one way that you can actually get the really high level sword is you just go ahead and come into your upgrader real quick, like so, and put your upgrader onto 128 times luck, and probably make sure as well that you have your appraiser up as well, because some rarities do have level caps. If you come up here real quick, as you can see, I'm more or less getting around like stuff like 297 swords right now. However, as you can see, Mythical does actually have a level 240 level cap, so you do have to make sure that you have the rarity high as well, just so that basically the level doesn't go down. But basically what you need to do is get a really high level. Now, getting the level is probably the easiest part of it, and again, it is the most important part. So once you do have a high level, you've gotten the easy part out of the way, I guess. Now the hard part is actually upgrading your sword. Now obviously, as you can see right now, I've got mine up to hyper, it's also invincible, and it's also got some really high enchants as well. Now obviously this sword was given to me, as you might have known from the other video that I did a couple of days ago, but still, you do need to get some of these stuff up. Now what I would recommend you doing, if you did watch yesterday's video, or maybe it was like a couple of days ago, I'm not too sure, but basically, what you need to do is go ahead and come into your settings and refund all of your upgrades, and just basically put all of your money into one part of your machine. So you might say you're doing up your class first. You just want to put every single bit of your net worth into your classifier, so that way then you have a better chance of actually getting stuff up in terms of your class. And another thing that I would recommend as well, if you are basically making a damage sword and you want basically the best luck possible, I would wait until either an update happens that brings out the 1.5 times luck, or wait until the 2 times weekend luck comes in, and that way obviously then it's going to be a little bit easier. But obviously then once you've gotten all your money into one part of your machine, you can just go ahead then and set it onto class like so. Then obviously you're going to have the best possible chance then to get it up to maybe something like outrageous, maybe a limitless, or if you are lucky like me, you can get it up to invincible as well. And again, you can do the same thing for your appraiser. Put all of your money into your appraiser, and in that way then you're going to have the best possible chance to get it up. Now obviously it does depend on where you are at in the game. Now obviously right now I have gotten some pretty decent levels on my machines, such as like 550 and stuff. And if we have a quick look right now down at our boards real quick, or you can look in your index as well. If you do have a quick look down here, as you can see, for me to get hyper, obviously it is still pretty hard, like a 1 in 3 million chance. Now if I do quickly refresh this, I'm pretty sure this isn't actually even refreshed. If I do refresh this real quick, I'm pretty sure it should change. Yeah, like so. So as you can see, for me to get hyper, even though it's really hard to see, I'm going to use my index instead. For me to get hyper and stuff, it's around 1 in 100,000. Now this honestly isn't exactly too bad to get. I would say maybe like 1 or 2 overnights might get you up to hyper or something. But still, to get things to like insane, even ultimate or extreme can still be really good, because they do give quite a nice power boost, as you can see, 100 times there once you start to get into extreme. Or if you get into insane, you're getting a 200 times power boost, 300 times if you are in hyper and stuff like that. So obviously, once you get it up to a really nice rarity, you're more or less going to be set. So the two things that you definitely need is probably a high level and a high rarity. Now, if you have both of these, it's more or less just kind of free reign from there. You can go ahead and then do up your class. Obviously, the higher the better again. But I would say aim for around unimaginable, because that is probably one of the top easier ones that you can get. I believe most people for now it would be around 1 in 2,000 or 1 in 1,000 or something. And then afterwards, if you have time, you can then obviously set it up to try and get outrageous, limitless, or invincible. Or some people are lucky enough, I believe, to get things like chaotic. And someone here has actually made an unbeatable sword, which is kind of crazy. But again, yeah, obviously it does depend on your luck. Now, two things that you do not need to worry about at all is your quality and your mold. Do not waste your time on getting your value up on your damage sword, because it does not matter whatsoever. Obviously, when it comes to your damage sword, these don't affect the damage whatsoever. So there's no point in wasting your time putting it on mold or quality, because that way then you're just going to waste time. And again, another thing that you basically want on your damage sword, the 3 main enchants that you want on your damage sword is the top 3 here. You want your sharpness, resistance, and power, because that way you're going to get the most amount of health, the most amount of damage, and then obviously again for power, you're going to get even more damage and health as well. So basically, when you come to your enchants, if you have a high level sword, I would recommend trying to get sharpness, resistance, and power. Now, obviously, if you are doing a trick where you're getting out of your machine, you basically want to come over here and look. Now, as you can see, we've got some swords here that have sharpness and speed in it. Now, speed is also a pretty good one to have, because obviously then you can move around the maps a little bit quicker, but I would recommend definitely getting resistance, sharpness, and power on it. Now, as you can see, this sword up here right now, as you can see, I'm going to quickly pick this up before it sells. This one here has just come out of my machine like so, and it has power, resistance, and sharpness on it. Now obviously it's only got on sharpness, power, and resistance 11, but obviously then you can go ahead and stick it in your ascender and get those enchants up. But those are the 3 enchants that you're going to want to get on your damage sword, is power, resistance, and sharpness, because that way then you're going to get the most amount of damage out of it. And if we quickly go ahead and look at my damage sword real quick, I do believe it has sharpness and resistance on it, if I remember. It's got sharpness and power on it. Now, obviously, I'm not exactly getting the most amount of health out of my sword. However, because I am such a high level now at this point in the game, and this sword is already pretty overpowered, 108 billion health is more than enough that I need for what I'm actually killing in the game right now. And realistically, I'll probably aim for you guys to get around 50 billion health at least, because that way then when you get into bosses like uniques and above, they won't exactly affect you in terms of hitting you. Now, obviously, in my case right now with this sword, I have been fighting multiple Supremes and stuff like that, and they haven't even touched my health whatsoever. So once you get to around 100 billion health, you're more or less set to fight absolutely anything in the game. Now, obviously, this doesn't include shinies and magmas and whatever else, neons and stuff. However, still, I would recommend basically just using all of these tricks, get the highest possible level you can, and get the highest possible rarity you can, get sharpness, power, and resistance on your sword, and then the rest of it is more or less your choice. And obviously don't waste your time on doing quality or the mold, because that way it's not really giving you any more damage, it's just basically making your sword look better, I guess. But yeah, if you use these tricks, you will get the best possible damage sword for yourself. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video.